Okay, we're ready.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for coming. I think this is the session two. Today is one of the busiest day. I think we have a session now and another one at 4 o'clock. So right behind this, I think you might be interested if you are interested in medical field. The person that we will be talking at 4 o'clock would be talking about primarily how to become a dentist. So if you are from any other country, typically the way it works in other countries is you have what is called bachelor of dental or bachelor of even medical, right? So it's a very new concept when people first show up to this country to understand what is the medical, because here everything is called pre-med. So when I was talking to someone, they had even done like English degree, and they could still become a doctor. Somebody was doing music degree, they could still. So when people talk about pre-med, they're very focused on getting a biology course. But then if you are smart and after the first year you figure out you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor or you can be a dentist. This is very different in this country versus the rest of the world. So I think that would be helpful at 4 o'clock. But we are back again. I think the first one was with Zareen. It was all about medical field and stuff. Again, she's also in her path to become a doctor. Obviously, she had done the neuro stuff with UC. With Sudha here, we are getting into the other side of the spectrum. So whenever people talk about STEM, the technology part is typically with the folks who are always talking only about computers. I have not yet met other engineers. I don't know why. Like I don't know where the mechanical engineers are, or electrical engineers are, or civil engineers are. I have a lot of people who are in computers, which is not bad. I think that's the future, and obviously there's a lot of excitement about AI. It's also confusing about the degrees that are coming up. Is AI still the new degree? Is it a data science? Is it data science and machine learning? The industry is a little bit confused, and there's also a lot of confusion even from the admissions office as well. Now in colleges, colleges are fast revamping. Department of Education is working on understanding what is AI. Department of Education hasn't understood, not that anybody has understood, and they are trying to figure out how can students use AI legitimately, how can professors use AI, and how do we really use this? I think we are now into a place where there is all confusion about cheating, where professors are using it to grade, students are not happy that they are using AI to grade, kids are not doing the right thing, they are also using ChatGPT to do stuff, and the professors are not happy that they are not. So there's a lot of things going on, in the AI. But if you just step back for a minute, it's all about computer science and computer engineering. So a couple of things I'm expecting out of this session from Sudha is very first thing is what is computer science and what is computer engineering. There's a lot of confusion between these degrees. I've gone to many seminars, I've gone to many universities. The universities also play along very nicely. They'll keep on switching between the two. If you go to A&M and if you see how they talk about these two degrees, they would say one of them will come from Department of Science, other one will come from Department of Math or Engineering. They will all bifurcate at one point. They will come back to the other point and will get out at the other side. It's a lot of common courses. So it is a little bit confusing on what is computer engineering, what is computer science. Does any of the people who do computer engineering, do they do any course that's related to software and web development and mobile, or is it mobile apps? Is it still optional? So I'm hoping that Sudha will be able to clarify a little bit on that. And even before that, I think we threw a lot of stuff at people last time, and we will do it today. We'll do it next time, and we keep doing the same thing because it's a lot of things into an application process, right? The very first thing that I requested Sudha to do while she goes through a lot of stuff is when I went through this journey with other kids and with my own son as well. The very first question that I could not answer is what is a university? What is a college? Let's get back to basics, right? What is the purpose of an university? What is a college? And what is the difference between College of Science and a university? And how is ACC different from any of that? Like what is a two-year degree? So at a very high level, the university is really, the way I understand it, is a congregation of all the colleges. So, you have a lot of colleges in a university. So just imagine going into a campus, there are multiple buildings. In other countries, they might have called it a department. Here, they would still call it as, a college. So there's a College of Science, College of Engineering, College of, Agriculture. Each college is different. When you want to graduate, the colleges are very particular that you have to have a specific set of requirements for the college. The college might want you to do like an English essay, which may or may not be something you want to do as a computer engineer. But hell, if you want to get out of their degree, they would like you to do certain things for the college. the university. The college then has its own requirements. If you are in data science, they would expect you to do some Python course. They would expect you to do some Java course. If you are in biomed, they would ask you to do organic chemistry. So there are requirements for each of the college. And I think overall, the way they put together all of this is really going to be the key on how you address some of these. Because a lot of school students, in your case, like 10th graders or 7th, 11th graders, you're always trying to map it to show to the college that you are either, aligned with what they are already doing or you are ahead of what they are doing, right? So you are trying to show that you are doing stuff that the college is requiring. So the basic question that I was trying to still answer is, again, we know what is a college now, we know what's a university now. How did a company like US News, which has nothing to do with, these type of educational stuff, in my opinion, at least, they are not an educational magazine, they are a gossip magazine too, they can give you a lot of information, and they get to now decide, they are one of the people who can get to decide which is the top university in the US. So if you Google for, rank the university, first of all, in my opinion, how do you rank universities? It's like, how do you rank Sudha against me? You cannot have one university being pitched against another, but they get to do it and they get to do it well. And they also try to say UIUC is better than University of Michigan. University of Michigan is worse than University of Texas. How do you really compare these universities and really get to decide which is the one that is higher, which is the one that's lower, and who is US News, who is Fortune Magazine, who is rest of these people who get to rank, right? You see that online all the time. In my opinion, today's session, try to understand what tier one colleges are, how to build a college list. The two things that you have to do as a school student is to really figure out what do I want to do. If you have already figured out, right? Not that you have to figure out today, you just figure out later. It's not end of the world. You can actually go into universities. Some universities like Brown, some even like Stanford. You get in and you have 4 years to figure out. You can get in, and after 2 years, you can change it to a music degree. You can change it to a computer degree. So those universities are really giving you some more time, because I feel that as a high schooler, it's too early. Like, I never knew what I was going to do when I was in high school. Just asking a third grader, what do you want to do? The third grader will say, I want to be a doctor. Next week, the kid will say, I want to be a YouTuber. Instagram celebrity, because that's all the kid is watching. Every day he's watching an Xbox, or he's going into YouTube or Instagram, and he is not really out in the world other than he's sick and going to a doctor. So his world is just in 2 or 3 places, and that's all the kid is knowing. So by the time you're in 10th or 11th or 12th grade, you also don't have much information according to me. But if you do great, if you figure it out, so college list is something that I'm hoping that you would have some discussion with Sudha, and that is a slide that she has, and we can have some discussion there. The second one that I really hope from this discussion today with Sudha is really try to understand the acronym, right? It's going to be very critical. If you are not out of this session with the clarity on the acronym, we'll all have a problem. So what are the acronyms I'm talking about? In terms of admission officers, what is EA, early action? What is ED, early decision? RE, restrictive early action? RD, or restrictive decision? Have some conversations, try to understand what these are. And why do you really need to understand this, and what exactly are these terms, and how does this affect your timeline in terms of application, and also the timeline in terms of decision? Those are the 2 slides that I would really ask, and I did ask Sudha to slow down and explain a little bit more. But overall, this session is going to be like 30 to 45 minutes. Try to look at the slides, ask some questions. Sudha has done this a couple of times, so this is not her first rodeo. So she has done this. So we are definitely having a seasoned person who can answer some of your questions, but also interrupt and ask questions that should interest you. For example, if you're doing 5 AP courses, if you're doing 3 IB courses, try to understand what is the implication of those as it relates to one of these, right? In terms of if you're still doing an AP course in 12th grade, how do you really put that into your transcript? Because you haven't even started 12th grade by the time you're applying for some of these. How do you put it back into letter of continued interest or other documents that you can send to the school or the college in this case to explain to them that you are making progress? So that's the idea here. So definitely let's give her a big round of applause. That one now. Give us some more information. Like I said, please feel free to interrupt her whenever you can. Go ahead.
Yeah. So quick introduction. I went to the University of Illinois Bioengineering. I graduated last May with a bachelor's degree of computer science. I went to Westwood High School, and I'm currently doing a master's as well in computer science at UIUC. So I'm super excited to be with you today and help you guide into the college application. So to dive in, the first slide I have is so before we move on to the first slide, we'll go over some of the application platforms like Common App, Apply Texas. There will be timelines and deadlines and how to write compelling personal statements and essays. And then we'll also discuss some common mistakes to avoid and give you tips on making your application stand out. So the first thing you do need to know is where you even apply and where you submit these college applications. So different colleges use different platforms. Some of the main ones are is Common App and Apply Texas. So Common App, let me put it here. This is basically one of the most widely used platform with lots of colleges on this application. You will definitely use this, and if you there's only like 5 tabs. It's super easy to use. This is your dashboard. You'll see all the colleges that you add to your list here, and then it will kind of show you like your status as well on where you are in the application for that certain college. And then if you go to My Colleges, this is where you can actually add your list of colleges and search for them. And then this is the most important section. So this is like all your basic information, your name, your personal information, academic history, curricular activities, all of that, and then the personal statement as well. So this is only a one-time thing that you fill out, and it will be submitted. It will be shared to all colleges that you apply. So you don't have to redo this for every college. So I guess one of the most overlooked parts in Common App is the activity section. Here you have the option of putting in 10 spots. You have 10 spots for your extracurricular activities. So you have to make sure you use them wisely. Make sure you have strong activities that you put in. Start each description with like a strong action word, like you created, or you managed, you initiated, something like that. And make sure the description you put is thoughtful because this is like one of the most important sections. So that's kind of like a quick.
So there is a mention on the first one in the dashboard that you can only apply for 20. So what if I want to apply for more than 20? On the right side, how many colleges can I add and apply? So is there any guidance on how many to apply, or is 20 good enough?
I think 20 is more than sufficient. Typically people apply to like 10-ish colleges. I think 20 is like overkill. That's a lot of time to be spending in. So
Will be constrained.
yeah, and we'll talk about this in the further side about how many colleges we should have on your list. But yeah, I don't think you'll ever hit 20 though. And then another application, it wouldn't let me show a Texas account, but I'll just talk about it. It's Apply Texas. This is only for Texas schools. So you'll use this for like UTD, Texas A&M. Before UT Austin used to be on Apply Texas, when we moved it to Common App, which makes it a bit easier. And then some other platforms include like the UC system, the University of California. So if you want to apply to like UCLA or UC Berkeley, they have their own UC system similar to Apply Texas that you use. And then if you're applying to like some of the Ivy Leagues, like MIT and Harvard, you have to apply through their own portal. So there's lots of different portals and also different websites to keep track of. Any questions here? And then the next step, you probably heard this word many times. So colleges definitely use a holistic admission process, meaning they look at your whole, like a whole applicant rather than just like numbers like GPA and test scores. They really want to understand who you are, what you've done, and what you bring to their campus community. So to break down some of the key pieces we consider, the first one's academics definitely. So they look at your GPA, the rigor of your coursework, your past rankings available, because they really want to see that you challenged yourself academically and performed consistently well over time. And then just remember when you're choosing your classes, colleges do prefer to see an A and like an AP or IB class over an A and like easy class that you take. And then the next thing is SAT and ACT, even though some schools are test optional now. If you did perform really well, just submit it because it will boost your application. It won't necessarily hurt you in any way. And those test scores are generally used for like scholarships or competitive programs within their university. And then the third thing is extracurricular activities. So these help colleges see your interests, leadership, commitment, and your impact outside of the classroom. So it's not about doing everything, it's more about doing something well with the purpose. So there's that. And then I guess another thing to add on for this section is leadership roles definitely do matter more than just like participation. Sure, you can participate in like 10 clubs, but if you really have if you took the initiative to try to become like the president or something, that would definitely interact with that would definitely boost you. And then the next is essays and personal statements. This is your chance to tell your story, show your personality, and explain what matters to you and why you want to go to that university. This will definitely help you stand out to make sure you spend a lot of time into this area. And then some colleges do require some letters of recommendation. So pick teachers that you're really close with, maybe teachers you've had for multiple years in a row. That can definitely speak well on your behalf. And then the last thing is demonstrated interest. So some colleges do keep track of if you're attending their like tours or like any of their sessions. Some colleges like they'll have a good profile on you before you even submit your application, and they'll add these things to that profile, and they'll look at it when you submit your application. And the more events you go to, this will definitely show them, hey, that this candidate is really interested in coming to our college. So sometimes it can give you an edge in the application process. So it's not like really one piece that will make or break your application. It's about all of these pieces coming together to tell your unique story. And then moving on, are any questions there? And then moving on, choosing the right colleges, how to build like a smart college list. It's important to take a step back and make sure that your college list is balanced. A lot of students only apply to schools based on their rankings or like where their friends are going, but your college list should take into account your academic profile, your goals, and your overall fit to the school. So there's 3 different categories, buckets that your list should have. So the first one is safety schools. You should have between 2 to 3, and these are where your these are schools where your GPA and test scores are above their like average admitted student, and all of these scores and numbers can be will be on their website as well. So and then have 2 to 3 in this bucket, and then match schools, which is where your academic stats are like right in the line of the average student. And then you have a solid chance of getting into these. And then this you will have like between 3 to 4. And then finally, reach schools. So these are like where your stats are kind of below their average. But this is where your extracurriculars, letters of recommendation, and essays will definitely give you the edge. So you can still definitely have a shot into getting these schools, basically. So a balanced list like this will help you increase the chances of getting admitted into somewhere you actually want to go. And then to like research or how to even find these schools effectively, I would say like visit their campus, do like in-person or virtual tours, and then look at things like their classes, the majors that they have, maybe study abroad options if you guys are interested in that, any research opportunities, and like online networks. And then the tip I have here is to just go on LinkedIn or like Reddit too to find current students or recent graduates and just reach out to them and ask them questions about like what they loved about the school, what surprised them, maybe things that they wish they knew something before going there. because this will definitely help you learn things that you won't find on the website. Like a quick example of why I chose UC was because, I guess, yes, they did have a really good CS program. And that was something that I checked some of the other boxes as well, but most like important thing that mattered to me was like their online network, because I saw on LinkedIn that a lot of people got into really good companies after they graduated, and they had also like research opportunities and stuff. So that was something that stood out when I was choosing between colleges. So just because a school has a big name doesn't mean it's the right school for you. Just make sure you find a place where you'll feel supported, challenged, and excited to show up. So, yeah, any questions here?
When should the visit to campus start? Like junior year?
Yeah, junior year, senior year, yeah, junior year, and then senior year as well, in the fall and spring. So, yeah. And then the application timelines and deadlines. So one of the big mistakes that students make is waiting too late to apply to these colleges, and waiting too long to get organized. It has many moving parts. You definitely want to start quickly and make sure you're well organized, because there's lots of parts that go into this. So if you're not tracking deadlines carefully, it's really easy to miss an important part of it, like not submitting your transcripts on time or something. So the spring and summer before senior year is when you'll start researching and starting this college application journey. So in the spring and summer before senior year, I would recommend starting researching colleges, visiting campuses, like I mentioned before, and building that college list with your safety match and each schools. Make a simple spreadsheet, use like Notion or Google Sheets or something to keep track of this. And then start brainstorming your personal statements and any supplemental essays. So even though they may not be released during that time, some of the supplemental essays will be the same as previous years, so you can still fill up. The more you do around this time, the less you want to feel when senior year actually starts. And then once, and then you'll hear like different words like EA, ED, and regular decisions. These are the major like types of deadlines. So the first is ED, or early decision. This is basically what this means is if you apply to the school, you're legally like you're obligated to go to that school if you get in. They'll make you withdraw all your other applications that you put in. So you're basically committing yourself to the school if you submit that ED application. And this is usually the deadline's usually like November 1st or 15th. So this is only for students who are 100% sure that's their top choice college. Like this is a school that you've been wanting to go for many years. So yeah. And then so ED only starts when you feel that the school is perfectly fit for you. And then the next is different ED will give you a slight advantage of getting in. But yeah. The next is EA. This stands for early action. So this is also typically November 1st to November 15th when this application is due. This is different from ED because it's non-funding, meaning you can apply to as many EA schools you want, but you're not obligated to accept their offer if you get it. And then you also get your back sooner than regular division. So it's a great choice if you don't want to commit, but you still want to know if you got in sooner. Typically, they release their decisions like in December, January-ish, compared to the regular decision where they release those like in March or something. And then EA benefits. This will also kind of give you a slight advantage compared to regular decision because it shows that you're interested and you take the initiative by the time early. And then, so I don't have this on here, but some schools like Harvard and MIT, they have this, I'm not sure about MIT, but Harvard has this thing called restrictive early action. You may not have heard this, it's REA, but basically it's EA, early action, meaning it's not binding, but the restrictive part is that it won't let you apply to other private colleges, EA application. So you can't apply to, if you applied Harvard REA, you can't do like Stanford's restrictive early action application. But you can still do like public colleges EA application. Stop me if you have any idea. And I was like,
So like, well, one, for EA and ED, because I know for REA, it's like restricted to some colleges. So like, so for these, like, is this, like EA and ED, are they available in all colleges or?
No. It's only a couple, it's based on the college, you won't find this across.
And slowly, a lot of the public universities are slowly getting into ED, which is scary, because, as of 3 weeks ago, Michigan dropped that they are going to start doing ED. ED is the way that you're able to get students without giving financial package. And that's a way to get more money for the university. So typically, public universities will not do ED. For example, UT Austin will not do ED. And 95% of the public universities are not meant to do ED. But we are seeing that a lot of universities are now catching up to do ED because they want students from out of state to come without getting financial packages. So that's helping a lot of universities. So that's one part. In Texas, you see Rice University, Baylor, all of the privates will always offer ED. And sometimes they have ED1, ED2. They will even give you 2 chances in Rice and others because again, it's a way for them to get commitment from you without showing. It's like playing poker. They are not going to show you their financial package or scholarship, and you are making a commitment, not even knowing what you are getting into by paying sticker price. So if you have the resources, which a lot of students who come to us have, they don't mind doing ED because they don't care. $80,000 for Michigan a year is not a big amount for some of the parents we work with, and they don't need any scholarship and they don't need anything, so they are ready to pay sticker price. If you're ready for sticker price, to start seeing that, but to have the field being a level playing field. Public universities by nature should not be offering ED, but the trend is changing. UC has stood by the decision that they will never ever do ED. They've still maintained that, so let's see how long they can continue to do ED, not having ED. Because their regular college itself is expensive. So even for in-state, they are charging a lot, so they don't mind.
Any other questions? Then moving on, the next one is regular decision. The deadline for this is January 1st through 15th, sometime around those first 2 weeks. And it's kind of the standard deadline for all college schools. And then you'll usually hear back around March or April, and then you have until May 1st to decide. May 1st is the strict deadline for all colleges to accept or decline their offer. And then I guess you may be wondering why you would apply for like EA or something. This is if let's say you want to add a few more things to your application during like the November, December time. That's when you would apply regular decision. You just want that extra leeway to refine your application. Again, just don't be careful and don't wait too long to start. And then some colleges, I think A&M did this, but they do something called rolling admissions, meaning they'll review your application as you submit them. So it's kind of like first come, first serve, which is why people stress on the idea to start earlier applications, because spots and scholarships are first come, first serve, basically. So there's that. But not all colleges do rolling admissions. To review once the deadline is hit. And then I think like last thing is supplemental deadlines. So if you're applying to specific programs within the university, like MIT or something, those supplemental stuff have their own deadlines as well. So just be careful to consider that. So pro tip, just make sure to stay organized, create like a checklist for each school that you're applying to, whether the deadline, required materials, whether or not you submitted your test scores, if your photo is submitted, because if you're missing one thing, your application is considered incomplete and they won't review it. So, then moving on to the next thing. Writing strong essays. So, this is one of the most important things, and sometimes like most stressful part of your college application. It's also very time consuming, I would say. So I've been talking about coming out with a personal essay. This is one essay that will be shared and sent out to all of the colleges. They have like 7 or 8 prompts that you choose, and you write about like 700 to 800 words on this. And this is your chance to tell colleges who you are beyond grades and test scores. They're already seeing that in their application that you've submitted. So to basically create a strong essay, focus on personal growth and reflection. Choose a meaningful topic. Just be yourself. Your essay should sound like you, basically. Answer the prompt correctly. Make sure you're staying on topic, and make sure your essay connects back to what you'll bring to the college community. And then like going back to like a meaningful topic, instead of writing about like an achievement, consider writing about the challenge you faced or effective achieving experience or like a passion that defines you. Just some examples. So an example of a strong, this is weak topic. A strong essay would be a personal story about overcoming something or an experience that changed your perspective. Whereas like a weak topic is something about winning an award or saying like you want to help people. So, and then the second part to these essays, besides the personal statement, is supplemental essays. So supplemental essays are for each college. You'll write these essays for every college, and they're typically consisted of like 3 to 4 questions. These questions are basically like, why do you want to attend our school? What's like describe a community you're part of. And you want to make sure you tailor these answers to the school. So for example, if you're answering the question, why do you attend our school? Maybe you can bring up like a specific professor or something that you might want to work with in like a research lab or something. That way your answers to research about the school. Yeah, any questions here? And then these, typically the word count for the supplemental essays for each question is around like 200 to 400, so much shorter than the personal statement. Yeah, so some common mistakes you would want to avoid, being too cliche and like avoiding overused phrases, like how to help others or something. Just running same press, don't use big words or complex sentences, just sound smart. Just focus on clarity, and then people can list this, like simple thing, but just make sure you're proofread before setting up that essay. May have like at least 2 to 3 other people review the essay before you're submitting.
On this, 2 things. One is I've seen somebody who actually was trying to be in the last minute, and instead of applying for Duke, which is the university in which they were applying, they copy pasted the essay from Brown, and that's a no-no. Right? So nobody's going to care, and they would be automatically rejected because they're very strict about the fact that if you're not even taken time to know which university you're applying, you would be in trouble. So like she said, have somebody proofread, but don't do them at the last minute, have your time managed. Second thing we are observing starting last year, thanks to ChatGPT, we are seeing a lot of people writing essays using ChatGPT. Be very, very careful because there are a lot of tools to find whether it's using ChatGPT or not. So if you are going to use those tools, just be very careful because that might automatically disqualify you till there is a standard that comes back. But that's something that you have to really think about before using these tools.
Yeah.
Because I've stopped seeing spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes because kids are just putting everything into ChatGPT. And of course, ChatGPT is not going to make spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. But that's the first thing for me that the essay was not written by the kid. Because not even one mistake was found. That's scary.
moving on, depending on what school you apply to, some colleges do college interviews. So for example, I did an interview with Harvard and MIT, and like these are some of the key takeaways from those. So before the interview, make sure you do your research, learn about the college's academic program, culture, values, and then look for something that excites you. That way you can reference it in your interview. Some common questions will ask you are like, why do you want to attend this college? What do you think is meaningful? Like, tell me about a challenge you faced and how you handled it, etc. So basic behavioral questions. And then make sure you do ask questions at the end. That's your chance to show engagement and interest. For example, if you make it personal, like what's your favorite professor? Something like that. Just dress appropriately, even though maybe on Zoom. Just make sure you wear something that makes it look professional. And then make sure you're on time and pretty but yeah. During the interview, make sure you're just yourself and it's not scripted. Share specific stories. When you get asked about your interests and your experience, then give real experience examples as well. And then after the interview, people recommend to send a thank you email to the interviewer for their time in the next 24 hours, and just thank them for their time, mention something specific we talked about, and express your continued interest in school. Even though it's a small gesture, but I think yeah. And then to build a strong extracurricular profile, because this was that was part of the holistic process. The first thing is quality over quantity. Colleges are not impressed by long lists of activities that you've done, where there's long lists of like random clubs that you only mention once or twice. They really want to see like depth, growth, impact. For example, it's better to be involved in like 2 to 3 activities where you're taking initiative, or even becoming a leader, than to be very surface level, in like 10 different groups. So just ask yourself, have I made a difference? Have I grown? Have I committed time and energy over months or years? That's what matters in my thing. And then be authentic and strategic. Your activity should reflect you. So if you love writing or something, join this school like newspaper per se. Or if you're like a science person, consider like participating in science fairs or STEM clubs or summer research programs. So make sure that these are related to the major that you want to attend today. And then remember, not everything has to be school-based. So an example would be like working a part-time job or something, or managing a business, or running your own program, or a nonprofit outside of school. All of these show your responsibility, creativity, and initiative, and time management. And then I didn't mention this, but make sure I think your activities are pushing growth and leadership, because they want to see students who grow in their role, take on more responsibility. And then I did mention this before as well. Connect to your academic and career interests. So, like if you want to do computer science, you can have activities related to like joining a robotics team or grocery code or something like that. And then reflect on various experiences school visits. And it's just not about what you do, but why you do it. Make sure you answer. Like in the comment app that I mentioned, you have like the 10 spots, you'll put a description. So in this description, you answer questions like, what did you learn? What challenges did you overcome? Or how did it shape your values and your goals? I think these reflections turn into possibilities and select meaningful stories, and that was something that really be the asking depression. So I guess unfortunately, a strong profile tells you a story about passion, leadership, and growth, not just custom. Well, that's all I had. I wanted expertise. Hope that really helped. If it helped out, if you have any questions. Had. Thank you for talking to me.